And welcome back to the Bear Report podcast. It's time for another edition of Know Your Opponent. We're in week 2. The Chicago Bears go to Detroit to face off against the Detroit Lions. It's a little bit of a homecoming for head coach Ben Johnson. We're going to break all that down and get the insight on the Detroit Lions and what exactly happened last week for them in Green Bay. Joining me now is Jeff Risdon, the managing editor of Lions Wire and Draft Wire of USA Today. Jeff, thanks so much, man, for joining me tonight.
It is great to be with you. We got a lot to talk about. We got some fun teams to cover here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, both teams are 0-1. Both lost divisional games. The Lions, in Green Bay on Sunday, the Bears at home against Minnesota on Monday. Let's start there. What happened in Green Bay for those that didn't get to watch the game?
There's a number of issues that the Lions had. The biggest issue was that the best players didn't play well. Aiden Hutchinson had less tackles than the kicker. Penei Sewell had the worst game I think he's ever had. PFF disagrees, but I'm going to trust my eyes on that one. Amon-Ra St. Brown was basically a non-factor. Jared Goff wasn't at his best. Jahmyr Gibbs was not at his best. Jack Campbell at middle linebacker had a rough day. Like the safety tandem, which is still for my money easily the best in the league, couldn't make plays. Any number of combinations of it, but the bottom line is when you have that many high-paid Pro Bowl, all-pro players, and none of them play well, you're not going to win very often. And I will also begrudgingly, but necessarily give Green Bay credit. They played really well. Okay. That's a better football team than I thought they were.
Yeah, I thought, the Micah Parsons trade obviously might have put them. I thought the Lions were going to be the favorite actually in the division, and the Packers right there. But I got an interesting one for you though.
Sure.
The loss of Aaron Glenn, the loss of Ben Johnson. How much of that performance was that? And I don't want to, it's hard to say, everything because it's only one game. We don't know. But how much do you think that impacted them in that game and maybe moving forward this year?
Aaron Glenn had been grooming Kelvin Shepherd to be his replacement. There's a few tweaks that are different, but overall it's the same basic defense. And honestly, it's the same basic offense too. I think with Ben Johnson out of the equation, it's a little more conservative. It's not as flamboyantly unpredictable as it has been with the trick plays and, running all these different plays out of the same formation. There's an acclimation period to get to that. I will say the biggest issue for the offense isn't missing Ben Johnson. It's missing Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler. And they are sorely missed in Detroit.
I was actually going to ask that next because when I was watching the game, and it felt like they were doubling Micah a little bit. I thought they did a solid job in Rashawn Gary at times, but man, when you watch that Lions offensive line, I know Sewell is an all-pro, hell of a talent, but losing those two guys, that definitely hurt. What are the expectations for the offensive line now moving forward?
The hope is that they will get better. Tate Ratledge is the rookie, second-round rookie. He looked like it. He had some good plays. He had positive moments, but there were also times where he just wasn't on the same page. Graham Glasgow, his better days are behind him. He moved in from left guard to center. He's not an asset in the run game. That's probably the nicest way to say it. Okay. And that's really where the drop-off is in the run game. This is a Lions team that when whatever else wasn't working, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery could reliably churn out 4, 5, 6, 12 yards on first down. They got 2.1 per first down carry. They had as many carries not gained yards as they did carries that gained 5 or more in that game. And a lot of that is I'm not going to put it all on the offensive line, but a lot of that was on the offensive line. And again, I will give Green Bay credit. Edgerrin Cooper was the best player on the field for either team on either side of the ball. He was everywhere. He is really, really fast and really smart. And the Lions could not get anybody out to block him. And fast forward to when the Bears and Packers play. If y'all can't get your center or guards out to him, it's not going to work.
It's interesting to note. Starting, on with that Lions offense and going up against Dennis Allen this week.
Yeah.
We saw Dennis Allen make life tough for JJ McCarthy for about 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell figured it out in that 4th quarter. Jared Goff, more of a seasoned, veteran already, has had success. I think the Lions offense is pretty good. How do you expect the Bears, or how should the Bears defense attack the Lions offense, and what can they take away from that Green Bay game?
One of the things is definitely stop the run. Don't let them get into 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2 for that matter, because they will still go for it. That's a Dan Campbell thing. That's not a Ben Johnson thing. I think y'all will learn that in time. Ben might have had a lot to do with the play calls, but the decision to go, that's Dan. But putting them behind the sticks where it doesn't open up their entire playbook for them. The other thing I would say was that I thought the Packers did a really good job of bracketing Amon-Ra St. Brown. When you do that, you leave somebody open. In that game, it was Sam Laporta. And because the pass rush was good enough that they got there before Goff could hit Laporta often, the 2 best plays that they had, aside from Isaac Tesla's touchdown, just unreal catch, was, Laporta was the most effective Lion in that game. And they're comfortable with that, but they've got to get something else out of it. And, your safeties are quality. They can and your linebackers can turn and run with anybody. So it'll be interesting to see where Allen shades it. He and Dan Campbell go way back. Dan was actually asked about that in the press conference today. He had nothing but positive things to say about Dennis Allen. I'm sure that if you asked DA, he would say the same about Dan. So they kind of know one another and what's coming and what might be coming. So that's going to be a very interesting chess match there, because those are both 2 really smart tactical coaches. And I don't think either of them gets enough credit for that.
And I know I said it's one game. It's a good Green Bay defense, but the loss of Ben Johnson for Jared Goff, how much is that going to play a role the rest of the season, if any?
We're going to see. I don't think it's nearly as much as a lot of national pundits make it out to be, but I'm also not going to poo-poo it like a lot of my Lions cut. Like there was a very symbiotic relationship there, and I think that it's going to take Jared some time to get that trust with the new offensive coordinator John Morton. The rest of the coaching staff, by and large, is back. Tanner Engstrand, I know, was the passing game coordinator. He's in the Jets now. And Antoine Randall is with y'all. Good hire. That's a good coach. But Scotty Montgomery has been there for a long time. Mark Brunell, the quarterback coach, has been there for a long time. They both know Jared very well. I think the biggest thing is him getting comfortable with the situational play calls. Ben didn't even a lot of times have to say, like, okay, this is like Jared just knew. And I don't think they're to that point yet. And that's the other thing is the creativity out of any formation, whether it's, one of the things that Ben Johnson did as a play caller, he would call plays deliberately early that didn't work to set things up for later.
Okay.
And that's something that Goff was comfortable with. And I'm not sure that he's there with that. Or also, I don't think John Morton believes in that. So that's going to take some change. It's going to probably require Goff to be a little bit more aggressive on his own with his reads. And again, some of the route combinations are further down the field under John Morton. He's much more of a John Gruden type, whereas Ben's a little bit more conservative with chicanery in it, sort of Sean Payton-y. And that's going to take a little bit of time too. Goff does have the arm for it, but it's not, this isn't Matthew Stafford, with the arm. This isn't JJ McCarthy apparently has a really good arm from what we saw Monday night. There's going to be adjustment period there. I don't think it's going to, if this offense doesn't work in Detroit, it's not going to be because they don't have Ben Johnson, but that's certainly at least a small contributing factor to it.
Got it. That makes sense. Flipping over defensively for the Lions, offensively for the Bears, it was a little bit of a struggle for Caleb Williams off script. The scripted stuff was good, but the off script stuff and not staying in the pocket, that was a struggle. And the Lions have seen Caleb Williams twice already. How do you think they will attack this Bears offense, and what can they do to find success?
So the biggest change in the Detroit defense is that Aaron Glenn was a defensive back, and he saw the defense through defensive back eyes. Kelvin Shepard was an NFL linebacker. He sees it through linebacker eyes. More to the point, and Kelvin has said this, when he played, he was a QB spy. That was like his best role.
Okay.
Aaron Glenn, like, if you asked him about a spy, he would try to get you thrown out of the press conference. Like, no, we're not doing that. I wonder if that's going to be the case now with Aaron Glenn, because they have a couple of guys that can do it. Alex Anzalone can do it. He's very fast. I think he's better in that capacity than Jack Campbell would be. And Derek Barnes can do it too, to some extent. He's probably not as quick. He's not going to run down Caleb Williams. I think that's a fair assessment. But Brian Branch is interesting because I think he can play that role. And your tight ends, I like Loveland a lot. Good player. And Cole Kmet, nothing but respect for that dude and what he does. Like, they're solid, but they're not dynamic guys. And I think that they can get away with maybe Branch cheating a little bit and, okay, we might give up an 8-yard completion, but he can go make the tackle. It's not like, they're going to be chasing, Tucker Kraft has some giddy up that I didn't know he had. That he showed in the Green Bay game. So I wonder how that's going to be. But the big thing, they got no pressure from the interior at all. DJ Reader and Tyleek Williams, the first-round picks, are phenomenal against the run. Nobody runs on them. Nobody. In all summer, they're good there. They didn't get in the backfield at all in Green Bay. And again, Aiden Hutchinson, 1 QB pressure, 0 tackles. Unacceptable. Can't have that.
Yeah.
Marcus Davenport on the other side had 3 tackles. 2 of them were on the first drive. I think he got near the quarterback once, maybe. The blitzes were terrible. They were predictable. They were dumb. So I hope that there's more like, hey, look, let's try a stunt. Let's try an asynchronous rush where maybe, Hutch waits a second and, gets a tackle off guard and worried. Just little things like that. They didn't do any of that. I think you might see a little bit more of that to try to generate some more pressure. If they're going to blitz, please don't blitz Jack Campbell because he's going to run into DJ Reader or Tyleek Williams before he runs into the quarterback. Maybe pick your spots a little bit better. Maybe bring more than one.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring pressure, commit to the pressure. I don't feel like they did a very good job of that in the first week. And Williams, he is fascinating to watch through enemy eyes because I don't think they know what he's going to do on any given play.
Yeah.
And that there's a variable there that's exciting and terrifying. And I can only imagine what it's like for Bears fans in that capacity because, he might make a fantastic play. He also might, oh, my God, what have you done?
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to live.
That's exactly how it is. I look at that first drive, the throw he had to Roma Dunze on the run. It's like, wow, there's probably 2 to 3 other quarterbacks that can do that. And then you look later in the game and he misses a throw that's like all quarterbacks should be able to hit that. So I
wish his feet were better.
Yeah.
And I know he's been coached on that.
Yes.
And it's just not. It's like at some point, hopefully, I'm speaking hopefully for Bears fans here, not fans. Hopefully, he starts to take seriously the preparation and the mechanics of things because he hasn't done that. He didn't do it at USC and he hasn't done it in Chicago yet.
Yeah.
If he does, y'all got something really nice. But if not,
and that's why I think Ben Johnson is perfect for him. Speaking of Ben Johnson again, though, the familiarity with Detroit. I know he's not going to be calling the same plays or anything like that, but do you think that's advantage Lions that they know, okay, this is what could come, this is what we should expect, or do you think, it'll just be whatever, it'll be kind of the wild card?
I do think that there's some basic tendencies. I think they'll be able to pick up on some things. The biggest thing I think with Chicago is they know DeAndre Swift as a running back very well. Mm-hmm. He's not going to scare them at all. And that's going to make your play action game if Ben tries to start doing more of that. That's going to put you in a lot of 2nd and 8s, 3rd and 7s, things like that, where Caleb has to go make a play. And honestly, that's not where Ben was at his best in Detroit. And I'm not sure that's where he's going to be at his best with Caleb Williams in Chicago either, even with a pretty decent receiving core with tight ends included in that. Until you get a run game that can threaten, that's when Aiden Hutchinson's going to tee off. That's when Amik Robertson's going to blitz out of the slot, and Caleb's not going to see him, and it's a strip sack. Those are the types of things that I would worry about from Ben's standpoint, because one of the things that Ben had in Detroit was a really smart, polished, professional quarterback in Jared Goff who understood that there has to be a clock in his head and understood that if it's a play that requires a 5-step drop in the timing, and that back foot goes down in that 5th step, the ball's out. That's not Caleb.
Yeah.
And I wonder where, I think the Lions defense is going to actively push that and try to get Ben frustrated, because he is a guy who will get frustrated, and he wears his emotions on his sleeve. A lot of times that's good. We'll see how that deals with, if it's going bad. The other thing, if he's playing catch up, he is a coordinator who will try to score 21 points on one drive. And that is something that Lions fans hated about him. They got bothered. So I would say that if the Lions jump out to an early lead in this one, I'm not sure the Bears are going to do very well at all.
And I wanted to ask you a couple more before we wrap up. But what do you expect the environment to be like in Detroit? It's a home opener. It's an 0-1 team, and it's Ben Johnson, who just from what I see on Twitter, and I understand Twitter can be a hellhole at times. Lions fans feel like he's a traitor, and what happened, in the last playoff game. How do you think that environment's going to be for Chicago coming in there?
They will certainly have hate for Ben, no doubt about it. I'm interested in how the fans handle coming off of a disappointing loss, and it's stacked onto a disappointing playoff loss.
Okay.
And the team, none of the starters played in the preseason. There's a lot of negative energy just unfocused in the fan base right now. And I wonder how that's going to play if the Bears jump out to a 10-0 lead. Okay. I really do think that this is a game that, if one team or another gets a double-digit lead in the first quarter, game's over.
Oh, okay.
But who's it going to be? Because I think that's going to say a lot about the fans. The fans are ready to get back behind Dan Campbell and the Lions and the 15-2 team from a year ago. We haven't seen that team in a while, and there's a lot of people that are nervous. When I hosted on the radio yesterday or Monday, there were a lot of people that were like, "What? We're not good anymore, are we?" There's a real worry about that, and that can be panicky, and that's a little concerning.
Yeah. Give me an X factor or matchup to watch, and give me a prediction.
I will say, watch special teams because the Lions special teams have been phenomenal under Dave Phipp in recent years. They were not good most of the preseason, and they weren't good Sunday in Green Bay. So if they're not getting run backs, if they're not covering punts well, that's incredibly atypical, and the Packers took advantage of it. I think there's going to be a big focus on that for the Lions. Look, the specialists are fine. Jack Fox is still technically the greatest punter in NFL history in terms of net average. Jake Bates can we've seen him hit from 68 reliably in camp. He sometimes misses the 45-yarder, but you know how that goes. That's an X factor. The other thing, how quickly that interior offensive line gels for Detroit. If it's still problematic throughout this game, there's not much help. And just one quick thing from the injury, Taylor Decker didn't practice today. He's starting left tackle. The backup is Giovanni Manu, and to a man, there's not a person in Lions land who believes that he can play left tackle right now.
Okay.
So that might require some chicanery. And Dan Skipper, who's been the reliable backup for times, is dealing with knee tendonitis in the practice squad, and he probably isn't able to get called up. And they just put Jamarco Jones on injured reserve. So it's all hands on deck. If Decker doesn't play, Chicago had better win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, y'all got problems.
Yeah. Jeff, where can everyone follow you, read your work, any podcast, anything that you want to promote?
Yeah, you can get me at Lions Wire and Draft Wire. I do turn on the draft brain from time to time at this time of the year. You can find those, online. All the social medias. It's the Lions Wire, I think, at X. You can hear me on the Detroit Lions podcast. I do also host sometimes in the afternoons on 96.1 in Grand Rapids, which you can get if you live in northern Indiana. You can catch it there, or you can stream it on iHeart.
Awesome. Jeff, thanks so much, man, for joining me, and we'll have to do it later on in the year when these two teams meet again.
Let's go. I'm looking forward to this game, man. It's going to be a fun weekend for both of our fan bases.
I hope
win
so.
or lose. There will be a lot to talk about next week.
There will be some big storylines either way. So one team's going to be 0-2 and in a hole in the NFC North. So we'll have to see.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.